some games come and go. You finish them, uninstall them, and barely think about them again. But then, there are those rare games that stay with you for years. The ones with worlds you never wanted to leave, stories that hit harder than expected, and moments that remind you exactly why you fell in love with gaming. So today, we're counting down 16 perfect 10 out of 10 games that truly earned that score. Let's get into it.
Dark Souls 3. Dark Souls 3 feels like walking through the end of a world that already knows it's dying. Everything is ash, ruin, and memory. Castles collapsing under their own history, empty halls that feel haunted before anything even moves, and bosses that don't just fight you, they test whether you've actually learned. The combat is simple on the surface, but every swing matters. One panic roll, one greedy attack, 1 second of bad timing, and the game reminds you exactly where you stand. But that's also why it works. Dark Souls 3 doesn't punish you for nothing. It teaches through pressure, through failure, through that slow moment when an impossible boss suddenly becomes readable. You stop reacting blindly and start understanding the rhythm. And when you finally win, it doesn't feel like the game got easier. It feels like you became better. The story stays buried in fragments, item descriptions, dying words, places that feel older than explanation. Dark Souls 3 earns its 10 out of 10 because it knows exactly what it is. Brutal, beautiful, patient, and completely committed to making every victory feel earned. Elden Ring.
Heed my words. I am Melania, Blade of Mikola.
Elden Ring doesn't grab your hand. It opens the door, pushes you into Limgrave, and lets the silence do the talking. No crowded map full of icons, no friendly checklist, no voice in your ear telling you where to go next. Just a broken, beautiful world stretching in every direction, and the terrifying freedom to choose your own path. At first it feels overwhelming, almost unfair. A giant can crush you 5 minutes in, a cave can swallow an hour of your life, and a castle on the horizon might turn into an underground nightmare before you even reach it. But that's where the magic is. Elden Ring teaches you to read the world, not follow it. Every ruin, every hidden path, every impossible boss feels like something you discovered, not something the game handed over. The story hides in whispers, item descriptions, and strange faces you barely understand until much later. And when mastery finally clicks, it feels earned. That's why Elden Ring is a 10 out of 10, because it trusts you completely. Bloodborne. Bloodborne doesn't welcome you into Yharnam, it traps you there. From the first step, the city feels sick, like every street, every window, every twisted figure is hiding something rotten underneath. You come searching for a cure, but that hope disappears fast, replaced by blood, madness, and questions the game refuses to answer directly. And the combat makes sure you feel that pressure in your hands. There are no safe shields to hide behind. You dodge, strike, get hit, and immediately fight back to steal your health back. Hesitation gets punished, but aggression has to be controlled, and once that rhythm clicks, it feels almost addictive. The weapons transform mid-fight, the shortcuts loop back in brilliant ways, and the deeper you go, the more the horror changes from gothic nightmare into something cosmic and impossible to fully understand. Bloodborne earns its 10 out of 10 because everything, the world, the combat, the mystery, the atmosphere, feels like one perfect nightmare built to pull you in and never let go. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice is from Software at its most focused, most ruthless, and maybe most satisfying. There are no builds to hide behind here, no overleveling your way past a wall, no giant shield saving you from panic. It's just you, a blade, and an enemy who expects you to meet them perfectly. Every fight feels like a duel where the game is listening to your hesitation. Back away too much and you lose control. Swing wildly and you get punished. But find the rhythm. Deflect, pressure, break posture, and suddenly the whole combat system opens like a locked door. You play as Wolf, a one-armed shinobi protecting his young lord in a brutal, myth-soaked version of Japan, where quiet temples and burning castles hide things that feel ancient and wrong. The bosses are unforgettable because they don't let you fake progress. When you finally beat them, it's not because your stats carried you, it's because you changed. Sekiro earns its 10 out of 10 because victory here doesn't feel given, it feels mastered. Red Dead Redemption 2.
Business you got going right here. What the hell?
Red Dead Redemption 2 isn't just an open-world game, it feels like watching an era die in slow motion. Arthur Morgan is loyal to the Van der Linde gang, loyal to Dutch, loyal to a life that once made sense, but the world is moving on and everyone can feel it closing in. That's what gives the story its weight. You're not chasing some clean victory here, you're watching people you understand make mistakes they can't take back. And around that, Rockstar built a world that feels almost impossible in detail. Horses breathe in the cold, storms roll over the plains, strangers remember you, camp conversations unfold like real life, and sometimes the best moments happen when nothing important is happening at all. Just Arthur riding through the wilderness, thinking, listening, existing. The pace is slow because it wants you to live in the world before it starts taking things away. And when Arthur's journey finally turns inward, when he starts asking what kind of man he still has time to become, the game becomes something deeper. Red Dead Redemption 2 earns its 10 out of 10 because it doesn't confuse scale with soul.
Hell, don't go near our mall! Ugh. Nice family.
The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt.
Witch, fuck her!
The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt doesn't just send you on a quest, it drops you into a world where every choice feels dirty, personal, and impossible to fully fix. You play as Geralt of Rivia, a monster hunter searching for the people he loves while war tears the continent apart around him. And what makes this game hit so hard is that nothing is simple. A village problem can turn into a tragedy. A side quest can stay with you longer than the main story of most games. You make a decision, move on, almost forget about it, and then hours later the world reminds you that it remembered. That's where The Witcher 3 becomes special. Novigrad feels corrupt and alive, Skellige feels cold and ancient, and even the smallest village carries scars. Geralt isn't a chosen hero trying to save everyone. He's a tired man doing his job in a world that keeps asking too much of him. The writing, the characters, the expansions, the consequences, everything feels lived in. The Witcher 3 earns its 10 out of 10 because it doesn't make you care about quests. It makes you care about people.
Oh, I've had enough of living. So, you in? Want a job?
Thanks, Si.
Hi, Witcher.
My dad doesn't
What's
like
the
us
saying?
very much.
Get good
will.
coin for it.
Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima is one of those games that doesn't just look cinematic, it feels like it was born from cinema. You play as Jin Sakai, a samurai caught in the Mongol invasion of Tsushima, trained to fight with honor in a war that has no interest in fighting fair. And that conflict becomes the soul of the entire game. Every time Jin moves further from the samurai code and closer to becoming the ghost, it doesn't feel like an upgrade tree. It feels like a sacrifice. The island itself is breathtaking, but never empty beauty. Tall grass bends in the wind, leaves cut across the screen, sunlight breaks through forests, and nature quietly guides you instead of a crowded minimap. Combat is sharp, clean, and deadly. You can face enemies head-on with discipline, or strike from the shadows and vanish before they understand what happened. And the duels? Pure focus. No noise, no clutter, just timing, steel, and silence. Ghost of Tsushima earns its 10 out of 10 because every piece of it, world, combat, story, and style, moves with the same blade-sharp purpose.
What do you think you're doing? I know it. He's close. Get up! You can't win.
Black Myth Wukong. Black Myth Wukong feels like a legend waking up in real time. Built from Chinese mythology and the story of the Monkey King, it throws you into a world of gods, demons, curses, and ancient power that never feels like simple fantasy decoration. Every environment looks like sacred artwork brought to life. Ruined temples, misty mountains, massive creatures, and bosses that feel like they stepped out of a myth you were never fully prepared to face. But the game isn't carried by visuals alone. The combat has weight, speed, and rhythm. Your staff extends, slams, shifts, and flows through different stances, giving every fight a sense of control without making it feel easy. Then the transformations change everything, letting you become creatures with their own moves, pressure, and personality. Boss fights demand timing, patience, and real understanding, not just button mashing. What makes Black Myth Wukong earn its 10 out of 10 is how unified it feels. The world, music, combat, mythology, and atmosphere all move together. It doesn't feel like it's copying anything. It feels like it arrived with its own soul. God of War 2018. God of War 2018 takes Kratos, a character once defined by rage, and places him in a world where anger is no longer enough. He's older now, quieter, carrying the weight of everything he's done while trying to raise Atreus, a son who barely understands him. And that's the real battle here. Not gods, not monsters, not even the brutal Norse wilderness. It's a father trying to become something better before his past poisons the only person he has left. The combat feels built around that weight. The Leviathan axe hits with this cold, heavy impact, and every throw, recall, and swing feels deliberate. Atreus isn't just a sidekick either. He grows beside you, helps in fights, challenges Kratos, and slowly becomes the emotional center of the journey. What makes it unforgettable is how everything flows together. The single-shot camera, the quiet boat conversations, the massive battles, the moments where Kratos almost says what he feels but can't. God of War earns its 10 out of 10 because it doesn't just reinvent a series. It gives a monster a soul. Batman Arkham City.
Batman inside.
Batman Arkham City is the game that finally made being Batman feel effortless. Arkham Asylum proved the formula, but this one tears the walls down and drops you into a slice of Gotham that feels dangerous from every rooftop. The second you glide off a tower, dive toward the streets, pull the cape open, and crash into a group of thugs, everything clicks. Movement, combat, gadgets, stealth, it all works together like one system built around one fantasy. Control the room before anyone even understands what happened. The combat is fast and readable, but never mindless. You're countering one enemy, stunning another, dodging a blade, pulling out a gadget, and somehow it all flows like choreography. But Arkham City isn't just power fantasy. The story has real weight, especially when Joker's role starts shifting from chaos into something darker, almost tragic. Every villain feels placed with purpose, every side mission adds texture, and Gotham feels alive without ever feeling bloated. Arkham City earns its 10 out of 10 because it doesn't just let you play as Batman, it makes you think, move, and fight like him. Marvel's Spider-Man. Marvel's Spider-Man doesn't waste time convincing you that you're powerful, it just lets you feel it immediately. This is Peter Parker 8 years into the job, already exhausted, already experienced, already balancing hero work with a personal life that keeps cracking under the pressure. And the second you swing through New York, the fantasy clicks. Diving off a skyscraper, catching momentum, zipping between buildings, pulling up at the last second, it feels so natural that after a few minutes, walking anywhere feels wrong. Combat moves with that same energy. You're bouncing between enemies, webbing someone to a wall, dodging bullets, tossing gadgets, and improvising like Peter is always one step from losing control, but somehow never does. What makes it more than just a superhero playground is the heart underneath. The game understands that Spider-Man is not just about saving the city. It's about what saving the city cost Peter. The moments with Aunt May, MJ, and even Otto carry real weight. Marvel's Spider-Man earns its 10 out of 10 because it makes being Spider-Man fun, emotional, and effortless all at once.
He's gonna throw it!
Resident Evil 4 Remake. Resident Evil 4 Remake does the hardest thing a remake can do. It respects a classic without being trapped by it. This isn't just the old game with prettier lighting. Capcom rebuilt the entire nightmare from the ground up, keeping the tension, the weirdness, and the momentum, but making every encounter feel sharper, heavier, and more dangerous. From the first step into that village, the game keeps pressure on you. Ammo is never comfortable, enemies push in from every angle, and every shot feels like a decision. Leon is still cool, still quick with the one-liners, but there's a tired edge to him now, like he's already seen too much and still has to keep moving. The village, the castle, the island, every area feels familiar and new at the same time, which is exactly the magic. The combat is messy in the best way. Panicked reloads, perfect parries, last-second escapes, enemies refusing to stay down. Resident Evil 4 Remake earns its 10 out of 10 because it doesn't just preserve the original, it makes the legend feel alive again.
All right, this one's good.
Cyberpunk 2077. Cyberpunk 2077 is one of the rare games that didn't just survive its reputation, it fought its way back and became something genuinely unforgettable. Night City isn't just a backdrop, it's a machine, loud, beautiful, cruel, and constantly hungry. You play as V, a merc chasing a bigger life, until one bad job leaves Johnny Silverhand burned into your head like a ghost with opinions. And that relationship becomes the heart of everything. Johnny argues with you, mocks you, pushes you, but underneath all the noise, the game keeps asking the same question. How much of yourself can you lose before you stop being you? The city presses that question from every angle. Neon towers, dirty alleys, desperate people, impossible choices. And the freedom to build your V your way makes every mission feel personal, whether you're hacking from the shadows, talking your way through trouble, or walking in loud. Cyberpunk 2077 earns its 10 out of 10 because Night City doesn't just entertain you, it gets under your skin. Death Stranding. Death Stranding is one of those games that sounds almost impossible to explain without making it seem boring. You deliver cargo across a broken version of America. That's the pitch. And somehow, once you're actually out there, balancing weight on your back, watching the sky for timefall, planning every step across mountains, rivers, and empty valleys, it becomes strangely powerful. Every journey feels personal because every mistake is yours. You packed too much, took the wrong route, ignored the weather, crossed terrain you weren't ready for, and now you have to survive the consequences. But what makes it unforgettable is how alone you feel, until suddenly you don't. A ladder left by another player, a bridge someone built, a rope placed exactly where you needed it, tiny signs that someone else struggled here too. That's where the game hits hardest. It turns connection into gameplay, not just a theme. Death Stranding earns its 10 out of 10 because it takes something simple, walking across a ruined world, and turns it into one of the most lonely, beautiful, and human experiences in gaming. Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3 starts with a parasite in your brain, and somehow that's only the beginning of the chaos. You wake up infected, surrounded by strangers who might become your closest allies or your worst mistakes, and from that moment on, the game makes one thing clear: your choices actually matter. Not in the fake way where a dialogue option changes one line and nothing else. Here, a failed dice roll, a careless promise, or trusting the wrong person can ripple hours later in ways you never saw coming. That freedom is what makes it feel alive. You can talk your way through danger, sneak around it, manipulate it, or burn the whole room down and deal with the consequences. And the companions aren't just party members. Shadowheart, Astarion, Lae'zel, Gale, they all carry wounds, secrets, and opinions that shift depending on how you treat them. Baldur's Gate 3 earns its 10 out of 10 because it doesn't polish away the mess. It lets your adventure become strange, personal, unpredictable, and completely yours. Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight doesn't try to impress you with noise. It pulls you in with silence. You drop into Hollow Nest, a ruined underground kingdom that feels empty at first, until you realize the emptiness is the story. Every broken hallway, every faded monument, every lonely NPC feels like a piece of something that died long before you arrived. And the deeper you go, the more the world starts to open in quiet, beautiful ways. A hidden wall becomes a new path. A strange character becomes a mystery. A boss fight becomes a lesson you only understand after losing 5 times. The movement is tight, the combat is clean, and every death feels fair enough to make you try again instead of quit. But what makes Hollow Knight special is the restraint. It never over-explains. It trusts you to explore, to listen, to notice, and slowly build the story yourself. That's why its world feels so personal. Hollow Knight earns its 10 out of 10 because it turns curiosity into momentum and makes a forgotten kingdom feel endless.